I'd like to welcome you to the 2024 Literary Translation and Method Graduation Meeting. We are really excited that you're here today. This is our closing chapter from the beautiful days that we had in our history and the beautiful group that we were among, and so many things I've learned during this journey. So today we are sharing with you everything that we worked on and everything that we learned during these years. And we are really happy that you're here with us. Before we start, I would like to thank the always generous staff at the Iowa City Public Library for giving us beautiful space. We started Patchwork, our translation reading series in this room, and we have so many good memories here, and I'm really glad that you guys did. I would also like to thank my partners in crime at Rockwell and Nikki Mendel. We organized the other sessions during Patchwork, and I'm really glad that we got to do this again. These people are amazing, so let's give them a round of applause. Those booklets that you see over there, they were designed handmade by Nikki. They contain all the pieces that are correct today, plus a little introduction to the translators and their authors. If you'd like a little keepsake from today's session, you can take one of those, or if you just want to leave through them, you can leave them there. So, this is how today's session is gonna go. You will not see my face, I promise. I'm not gonna be your host, and each person who is coming up to the street is going to be introduced by another class. We will have 5 readings, then we'll take a short break, and then we'll come back for questions. I hope you can stay with us till the end and listen to all the beautiful literature that you see. Now, without further ado, I will introduce the first reader. Ani Jilavia, a translator from Armenia. Ani and I became friends on the very first day we set foot on this campus. The profound similarity between our names, Ani, Jalabia, and Ana Jalabi, created a lot of confusion for a lot of people, and of course, a lot of fun for us. Only if we got a penny for every time people mistook us for each other, or when we received emails that were meant for the other. Ani is very hard to miss in public. He's tiny. Like really sad. But it's not how you're gonna recognize. Ani is always the one who has so many layers. No matter how hot or cold it is out there, she always looks like as if she just arrived from New York. After meeting her, I started to feel really good about my own weirdly low percentage. Ani is a true victim of American obsession with ice and extra cold drinks. Every time she asks a salesperson or a barista for room temperature water or 0 ice in her drink, they give her a look that cries, "What cake did you just call out?" Ani is a translator, a stand-up comedian, an actress, a singer, and a technology goddess. But before all this, Ani is a friend. The kind that you can call at any time of the day or night when you have a question, or you need advice, or when you want to try your heart out over your stupid life. She's always there, blessing people with her big heart and an even bigger smile. I was honored to be introduced to Armenian literature through her work. Now be prepared to be blown away by her stellar translation and also her exceptional performance. Please welcome my best friend, Ani White.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. I also want to go ahead and thank Corey, our fellow in Germany, who will help me. So we're going to read 2 scenes of love, very different love, from the play The Dentist from the East that was written in 1868 by Jacob Baronian in Western Armenian, and I translated it. For this First thing, Ori is going to read the dentist himself, whose name is Copernicus, and I'm going to read the part of Marta, who's dentist's wife. And she thinks that the dentist is cheating, so she's kind of confused about the situation. And then we will introduce the second scene before reading it too.
Dee-da-da. Hello, sweetie.
Sweetie?
Why are you sitting there alone, my darling?
I don't know.
The lady seems angry today. My old lady.
Old lady, how dare you?
What's there to dare?
Do you want me to open my mouth?
To get some fresh air.
Where were you on Monday night?
I went to examine a patient.
On Tuesday?
To pull a tooth.
On Wednesday?
To fill a tooth.
On Thursday?
To drain a tooth. Our lady is a calendar. She names all the weekdays with no mistakes.
Yes, sir. I'm the calendar you will never change till your last breath. Where were you last night? Where did you get lost?
Last night I wasn't lost. I was at the theater where an Armenian play was staged. An Armenian should attend Armenian plays to celebrate their culture.
You went to the theater without me?
The theater is not for old people.
But for a man like you, for all of you, it's about going there to learn tricks on how to deceive your wife. Because you only pay attention to the jokes and the farce and not the moral lesson.
What are you selling?
What do you mean what I'm selling, scamp? My money made a man out of you, earned you a reputation. And now you leave me all alone and head out to the theater holding your head high.
Next time, I'll hand my head to you for holding it. And I'll go out without it.
Sir, let me ask you something. Do you know what a wife is?
Yes, I know. A wife is her husband's misfortune.
Bite your tongue. You don't even blush when you say that a wife is a misfortune, while the whole world knows that my money made a man out of you. Tell me, what is your response for that?
Oh, I will tell you.
Shut up.
I will.
Shut up. Talk to me. Did you imprison me in this house?
Why would you be a prisoner in this house? Anyways, the woman in the house is the same as goods and furniture.
Goods and furniture. See how cold-blooded he is.
Men are cold-blooded. Women are warm-blooded when they're in heat.
Wicked man. Do you enjoy what you're doing? Do recurring disputes and fights sweet marriage?
Cooks compare a marriage without dispute to a dish without taste.
Shut up. You have no pity. It's too bad you have such a modest wife.
At your age, women tend to be modest.
That's enough. Will you shut up?
Then you shut up as well.
I will make all the newspapers publish that Copernicus left his wife.
Oh, what a great idea! This way, we'll do a favor for other couples who fight like us. We can be a role model for them, so that they can get divorced. Editors will also profit. Each line of the notice costs 3 tahegans.
I see you're not ashamed.
For God's sake, what should I be ashamed of?
The people who would say that Copernicus left his wife.
They would say Copernicus survived the war.
Great. Go in peace.
Be at peace.
See? For the second scene, I will read the part of Yeraniak, who is the daughter of this previous two lovely people. And Ori will read Levon, who is the lover of Yeraniak. And you also will hear the name Markar, who is someone that Yeraniak was forcefully engaged to. And then you can see how Barunan was able to write two very different laws in one play.
Oh, my fortunate Yeranyak. You came the exact moment when I doubted you. But why are you so sad? So glum?
Sad, glum,
Quiet? Silent?
quiet, silent.
Is it my presence that drove the rosy redness out from your cheeks? Answer me, charming maiden. Is it my face that left you tongue-tied? Answer me. Why are your lips, which shine with smile, weakened and unmoving? Yeranyak, speak. Your silence invokes disaster in my mind.
Levon, I gifted you my heart, my life and honor. But what does it matter when my fabulous ignorance attempts to take you away from me?
What? Your family disapproves of our love?
This morning, I told my mother that I would not marry Markash. Hearing that, she got angry. enraged, furious.
Hiranyak, was I sleepless the entire night? Did I impatiently wait for this hour just to hear you say these words? At times, I closed my eyes, saw your smiling image, and heard the words that slipped from your love-scented lips that first day. The same words that ring in my ears in the deep silence of the night. Yes, the voice with which you uttered, "I love you." These words cut my heart, opening an inhalable wound there. And as soon as I rose from the bed in the morning, I thought to go to Hiranyak to share a secret of my heart, to say that her beautiful face brings to mind great happiness. Now let me, my Hiranyak, get a kiss from your cheeks. You charming maiden, beautiful angel, let me taste love with my lips. Listen to me, Hiranyak. Does it matter that your family does not approve of our love? Since you love me, all the efforts of your family are useless. Can they dry the abundant stream of love in your heart? Now, cheer up. Do not lose heart.
It's enough. It's enough. I will sacrifice my life for you. I will be separated from my family. I will accompany you wherever you go and however bad things might be. Even if we're to starve, I'll starve to death. Levon, I love you with great patience. With great intent, I reject Markar, to whom I was engaged by force. I hate his love. I also curse my family for not letting me to unite with the one whom my heart chose. I am yours, Levon. Yours. See,
Hi. Hey everyone. I'm Nikki. When we were organizing this event, AJ asked us to prepare the Greek and for you because translators have never read, rarely ever. And it puts me in sort of a predicament because I have to introduce my profile. And I consulted with all the best comedians and I've interviewed all of his references and I've spoken to his wonderful partner. And I've determined that roasting Jack is impossible because he is the kindest, sweetest, best possible person. In fact, Jack is so humble that he never brags about how humble he is. He is so kind that he doesn't like your manuscript, he always tells you that it's the opera salt. His translations are so good that the day that he started translating Spanish literature, it said that Gregory Rabas's ghost said, "I can finally get this." He's so well read that you get a library card and check out books from his house. He's so generous that one time I asked him for $20 to just pay off all my loans. And in fact, he is such an absolute saint that earlier today he went in to give me a hug, and now I don't wear glasses anymore. He's welcome to join.
Get started. I just someone hasn't been thanked yet. Who is David? Who did so much. I am then to thank her again this year. I will read briefly from a short story by the Cuban poet Jose de San Luis. The story is titled. It was not a loose air. One did not swim through despair. We forgot about the limit of its color until it seemed like an indivisible sand which breath let pass laboriously. It rained It rained again, and between rain and rain was imposed a damp air, an isolating air, that entangled us among the columns, or that stopped us to watch those same men that passed us by on many days and in many different times. There was a pause, which Luis Keeler took advantage of to head towards the school. Despite the hurry in his step, he stopped to contemplate how some water, running very slowly down the letters of the sign heralding the jewelers, had curved back towards the last letter, seeming like it was stopping there. Then it took on a tonality of tired green. It withdrew, it turned fearfully, not wanting to reach the outermost contours of the sign, where it would have to wait for the breeze to drive it. It could also take another course, directly onto the sign, whose forgetful letters now emerged with force before the leveling imposed by the breeze and by the rains. At last the drop, after running over the blurring walls and deserts of the sign, left, disappearing. Armando Sotomayor had also taken advantage of the pause between the rains to approach the school, which wore a dull appearance, as though the voices of the professors had been forming a damp scab that separated the wall from their gazes. The memory of the rain and the sickly water which leapt from the houses to the saffron-colored ground, where it went erasing, as if the soles of shoes wiped away the unlikely faces recording on the soft asphalt. It was as though an idea drove itself straight to divine its facing object, and when it encountered the green, yellow-flecked walls of the school, it leapt into the sea to wash itself away. Luis and Armando looked at one another. Armando observed that just as he was beginning to feel the water's dampness evaporating from his jacket, dark blue with white stripes, gray from far away, he also saw how new colors were appearing, stride slowly, as though after thinking it over for a while, leaving chicken scratch marks and old, almost crumbling faces on the dizzy walls. Armando was no longer looking at the walls. They were damp and dizzy, as though the rain had been amusing itself by covering them in the stretched skin of a fallow deer, drifting a blurry sidereal cartography. Armando's eyes turned slowly, and he let them fall on the arriving Luis. Without greeting him, he said, "Don't go in. The waves are furious on the Malecon. I want to see them." Luis, younger, happy from Armando's first word, first greeted him with an unnoticed happiness, and then hastily responded, "Let's go. Thank you very much."
Hello. Emily, hi. Thanks for being here. I have the pleasure to introduce Emily. And when I found out, I was starting to write this 4 pages of Google Doc, and then she told me that I should not mention certain things, and then it became a note. Which, okay, so nice. Okay, good. So, as I say, Emily Graham, which is such correct. It is. Okay, so she's the youngest member of our cohort. In German, I call her Nesthäkchen, which means she's the baby of the family. In fact, she's younger than the students she got to teach these past 2 years. Emily's young spirit makes her overly ambitious, which resulted in threatening all of us within the first week of our program, especially the French authors, telling everyone to back off because she had dibs on Linda Maria Barros. Last summer, both Emily and I happened to be in Europe. I was in Germany doing a project, and Emily got to travel to France and meet her author. She was all about, "Oh my God, Emily, that's so cool. Let's totally meet up when we both in Europe." And I was like, "Sure, let's do it. But you'll have to meet me in Berlin because that's where I'm facilitating my project." And she's like, "Oh no, that's not possible then. I can only come visit you, West Germany." Yeah, it was the wrong side, I know. Doesn't make it better. Okay, I got to Emily as a very sweet person and a better translator of French poetry. He's an extremely loyal friend and caused lots of sunshine and joy in our cohort. I'll miss you in our study sessions at the Johnson. Everyone, please welcome Emily.
I was saying that I need to go to France. I want to go to Europe. It was wished it was on the left side. Okay. uh, yeah. So I'm gonna be reading some today from home. And yes. So I'm gonna start my lesson. I could have learned a lot more. No one better than the hanged Ellisburg. Could have learned near the dogs in my dreams, barking at the ship's bow, muzzles planted in the fall. Near dogs who return to where they swallow it. Near great wielders of the ship, I slip days of bodies, nights. Yes, near them I could learn a lot. Tall and slim women from Senegal with prominence in our life. This one day could slip through the thick bars, through that iron door. Within the hollow of their hands, I could have dropped each breath, which I carved my desires. It would have embraced me with their tibias, innocent, long, alien. The size of sexes would have lit up for me like lanterns. I only learned with my shoulders, my bloody back. Since it taught my bluish flesh, the lips, the soul remains the same. Next is between her thighs. Yeah. Between her thighs. First, morning rubbing feverishly against the dumb mountains. The day, which burned oil rigs in the opens. And I, who felt our encounter was approaching, just like they feel at dawn, walks to the bodies. The satin abdomen, her curved crests. I knew that I would look just like Ariadne's saw the marks of the mentor. I could follow her from a distance and secret. We walk like that through outlying areas. Her idle flesh once passed along the streets and terraces, on the grass, through the cliffs clouded air. In my dreams, I could bury my face in her eyes, to worship her, to use her. I hide myself in her, the blade sunk into flesh, and walk starlings, stray. Finally, this God was up the woman well. God didn't close up the woman well. Her body is designed to. Every day, men find all sorts of ways to turn it over, bring it out. Perhaps only the unscrewing of the tongue of thoughts is right. In his neurotic fantasies, even the poet says that among all forms that possess man, stone is the least resistant. The well-known fact the woman's stomach is not satisfied its facts. It recycles the corrosive acids of matter in a short, peaceful participation. Sartorius muscle betrays to shape the light of another sense. That's why I say God did better body may appears, but just a bit. It's enough to witness the gods in full.
Hello. So I was so kind of caught up in making sure that I pronounced their first name correctly that I forgot to ask about all of their other names. So they're just going to be like shared today with name. And I introduce it what. So Pramod and the Night Master Obi-Wan Kenobi have a lot in common. They've both spent a long time a place they never expected to be. They're both masters, and they're both called Hermit, although for different reasons. That's probably where the similarities end, though. Obi-Wan could only dream of slaying with his outfit of the day, and who needs a lightsaber when Pramod's smiling and cut you with a rope? But beneath that fierce exterior is one of the kindest and most thoughtful souls I've been lucky enough to hear in Iowa. Kermit knows how to balance being kind and being helpful in workshop. They navigate heated discussions with the grace that could only dream of. By the way, my name is Grace. And most importantly, they know where all the good food is in Iowa City, like they. Please give it up for our cohort's own Kermit, who had to Google Obi-Wan Kenobi stuff and finish intro.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Thanks for being here. I will be reading a very short excerpt from a very long short story by the Urdu short story writer Stefan. In this story, the paths of two women cross after they both suffered setbacks. Coincidentally, the day Gandhi expelled from the neighborhood after disgracing herself was also the day when Mushtari Banu, fed up with her husband Hakim Chatri's infidelities, decided to train Paris. There is no doom greater than the doom of loneliness. After spending years in tortures and solitude, Mushtari Banu had decided to put an end. All day, children would appear for Quran lessons. Women consulted her regarding their hidden and visible ailments. He blessed the hearts of the heartbroken. But all of these were her daytime entanglements. As soon as night fell, she was besieged by horror. Prayers for forgiveness and repentance were given. On top of that, one day her older sister's son-in-law came bearing the news of somebody's death. And after he left for a long time, she kept sniffing the air for his masculine scent. A little embarrassed, she even drank the leftover water from his cup. Then the repentance rituals went on for a week or so. It was the month of Muharram. He was tired of his desolate and sinful life. Before she could be completely dominated by the devil, wasn't it better to put an end to this barren and graceless existence? Thinking this, and with a heavy heart, she reached for the bottle of kerosene. She closed her eyes and said a prayer for all the living and the departed. Her heavenly mother, all her brothers and sisters, nieces and nephews, her husband, his new wife, even for all their many children. For this unholy death, she had already sought forgiveness. Then she thought of how, upon hearing the news of her death, the pious ladies of the neighborhood would arrive, and seeing the house untidy, they would say all kinds of things. All day she cleaned the house. Newly crocheted sheets were spread on the bed. There wasn't much in the kitchen except grains and pickles, crackers and spices, but even those were deposited in the Hindu beggar's lap. He scrubbed the dishes, dusted the cobwebs. He had just picked up the bottle of kerosene oil when someone suddenly fell on her door. Trembling and limping across neighborhoods, sobbing with hunger, rabid with thirst, the wandering horde, that filthy and insolent fellow madam had arrived at the door of pious Mushtari Banu. This too was God's will. Whether this was a punishment or their fate, the two women became a shoulder for the other to cry on. Using the same kerosene oil which she was going to drink and kill herself, Mushtari Banu started a fire and prepared dinner. In the morning, Mushtari Banu noticed lice crawling on Kalo's pillow. He poured the leftover kerosene oil on her dirty hair and rid her head of years old lice. Bundled up luggage was unpacked. He prepared millet flour rotis and ground up some garlic and mint to make a chutney, even an onion bulb cut chopped. For after a long time she had had a visitor. It was afternoon and they were surrounded by the calls of the wood and the after rain winds carrying the smell of the sandalwood forest. The atmosphere was weirdly beautiful and dinner began. Kalo settled in Mushtari Banu's home in her life like spring. Mustard oil was poured on Kalo's dark black and curly hair. Her nails were clipped. The cracked heels were rubbed with butter. Tips of filth were removed from her body, and her beautiful feminine features blossomed. Mushtari Banu would melt the butter, clarify it, and make halwa. Sometimes with split chickpeas, sometimes with yellow lentils, and sometimes with semolina. Eating these delicacies further combusted Kalo's beauty. Its heat radiated all the way to Mushtaribano. Bello had never learned to lie. From her mother's lap to her uncle's bed, she told all the tales to Mushtaribano. Even in the library of Mushtaribano's heart, many books were imprisoned, and in them were etched all of her life's narratives. The heart that, having embraced all these stories, tolerated all these tragedies, had become heavy, narrated everything to Gallo, and became light as a flower. Not even the shadow of any trial or tribulation remained. When a woman empties her heart out to somebody, presents them with all of her troubles, often that in itself is a solution. As if a warm infested sack of grains has been emptied in a running river. The sack gets emptied at no expense to the person.
I'm Jake, and I have the pleasure of introducing this today. Translators are born for different reasons. Some are driven by a love of the source literature, others by a desire to enrich and expand the target language. Others still are motivated by subject matter, compelled to bring it to a new or wider audience. Elise Bickford is the rare practitioner when it comes to translation with all of these aims and capacities. She is a deft and original poet in English, an obsessive student of German, and a devoted disciple of philosophy, linguistics, and game. Her thesis, which I don't think she's going to read today, is an innovative work of experimental translation, an inspired book of original English poetry, and a compelling metatext on game tests. In her work, technical language takes on fresh emotional and political resonance. Consider this excerpt from her thesis. The German word Ecke, meaning corner, approaches the English word edge, a synonym for side, threatening to undermine all above distinctions. Later, we will see it approached by the nearby word Enge, the narrow space, threatening to distort our thoughts further. Let us be clear. Ecke means corner, as in where I met to play you, my friend, not on the side of the road, not at a certain point, not at a ranging sweep, but at the broad, rigid place where our streets converge. I'm so glad our streets converged here, Elise, and it's an honor to introduce Elise Bickford.
I'm losing my voice a bit. Probably in more ways than one. I think it's kind of an occupational hazard. It's like taking out the voices of so many others. But yeah, today I'll be reading an original poem. It's not what's in the booklet. And it's about translation and this metaphor of translation as a bridge. And the epigraph is one of my translations. It's from an excerpt of a book. Notes for an imagined painting of a bridge. Wie der Vogel des Walds über die Gipfel fliegt, schwingt sich über den Strom, wo vorbei Tier glänzt, leicht und kräftig, Brücke, die von Wagen und Menschen wird. Just as the forest bird flies over the trees, it vaults over the river, where the river gleams you by. Light and strong, the bridge, ringing with wagons and people. We reconstruct the entire lost diptych from its found fragment, found as it was previously and is no longer out of sight. Fragment, as we can see there is space for a hint. The subject of the discovered part is decidedly a bridge. On it stand two smudged figures. The smudging suggests movement. The figures are soon to make two opposing motions, or else they will converge unsurely or confidently and shared place or direction. One smudge is large. When interpreted as man, can see over the bridge's guardrail. The second is minuscule, commonly and incontrovertibly understood as a little dog. The little smudge was certainly thought of and referred to with a diminutive noun during its creation, Hunshin, Hundlein, in the artist's native tongue, Savajka, in romantic correspondence. The dog is low to the ground. We cannot understand to be a ground suspended above water, or yet more ground. As with any representation of any bridge, questions of configuration and perspective were considered. Will the bridge bisect the horizon? Will the bridge stretch obliquely? Will the bridge remain parallel to the construct of the so-called eye line? Whose eye? Who's there? Will it be visible? The material that paves the bridge's surface, the weather that forms above, the material that covers the bridge's underside? The artist answered and gave the subject of our fragment determinate orientation, angle. The bridge came to be an example of his mature compositional simplicity. Note how the bridge extends linearly from the upper left-hand corner to the lower right-hand corner of the canvas. Prominent, zoomed, and flat, it occupies the majority of the frame. Marginal triangular patches of a nondescript blue-green background constitute what remains. Thus, regardless of whether a hinge is placed on one of the fragment's vertical or horizontal edges, there is no logical way to extend the bridge onto an adjacent panel. The bridge leads to a place where there is no more canvas. As such, those of us tasked with the completion of the diptych face a significant challenge. What, if not more bridge, belongs on the missing half? What more could make sense of our partials? Some propose a canvas full of water, rubble, us, where we might find an incredibly placid and static animal, sturgeon, Achtschnecke, hook, a kite, Bauchwolke, someone drowning but almost done, or crushed, or dozing, a skiff having just rowed past, a tall ship on its way to a coast strait. Others denounce a mere extension of the scene, proposing instead its reimagining from a more immersive vantage point, hence, almost polemically frightening set of legs and an insurmountable wall. Others experiment with anachronistic paratexts, a cease and desist letter, und Anmeldung form, a written diagnosis for an inconvenience of illness, a Verschreibung for a drug that will prove to be toxic in half a century, a treatise on the connection between the words mast and mast, most, annotated architectural blueprints, a diploma in Hochkultur. One attempt at restoration, however, promises to prevail. It has raised thus far no questions and no doubts when displayed. Viewers believe it is nothing but the original itself. They've never ventured to believe otherwise. In a right adjoint panel, we find an exact copy of the initial bridge with its same simplicity oriented. It is lit by the same earlier light, indicating little to no time has passed. The same two figures stand thereon. What has changed? A third figure, also large, also smudged, has appeared. It too is soon to move. Its motion promises to clarify all else in both frames. We ourselves can speak.
Next up, we have AJ. Now I'm going to introduce her. To be honest, she's one of the best people I've met, not only in Iowa, but in the entire world. However, I should confess that at first, when I just met her, and we just each day knew each other a bit better, at some point she started to scare me. This is probably news to her too, but I thought it's great just to share. Think about it. So I come to Iowa and meet a young woman with the same initials as mine, AJ. She has 3 letters in her name, like I do. And what's more, 8 letters in her surname, like I do. She's passionate about languages like me, and she's a translator, like I am. And during the workshops, she translates Farsi phrases word by word, and I realized that I fully understand what she means because we say the same thing the same way in our After, during another class, we being upset simultaneously do the same cultural gesture of disapproval and disappointment, and we understand each other immediately in this non-verbal way. And now, please don't act like you would be fine with beating your clock. You'd be freaked out too. And, well, I'm kidding. I wasn't scared, but I was really surprised. I was surprised how I came to the university if I was to get an MFA, but also got a wonderful friend from my neighboring country with whom I share a lot of language and culture related things, professional and personal concerns and ideas. And I truly adore AJ, both as a person and a professional. She worked as a translator for the past 13 years. She published over 17 novels in Iran. 17, that's a lot. Now she's ready to pursue her PhD in Washington University St. Louis this year. And she, as you can tell, is very hardworking. She is very organized, very smart, fun, supportive, and inspiring. Think of any positive adjective, and I assure you will be perfectly. I'm very happy to finally call her here so we all can enjoy her translation.
Okay. So today I'm going to be reading a poem, which is not from my thesis. It's a poem by Iranian poet Sohar Basaki. This is an excerpt from a longer project that I did for a workshop, and it was something that introduced me to translating poetry. And a real laughs because I was afraid of translating poetry, but I started. So Sohrab was a painter, and most of his poetry is like an image that you can visualize in your mind. I suggest, if you are comfortable with doing that, close down your eyes when I'm reading it so that you can access what the poem is. Footfalls of water. The child slowly got away, step by step, into the alley of the dragonflies. I packed my bags. I left the town of light imaginations. My heart full of the dragonflies' loneliness. I went to the party of the world. I went to the field of sorrow, to the garden of earth, the bright porch of knowledge. I climbed the stairs of religion, went till the end of doubt's alley, until the cool air of peace, until the wet night of affection. I went to visit someone on the other side of love. I went till woman, until the light of pleasure, until the silence of plea, until the wing flaps of volumes. I saw things on the earth. I saw a child smelling the moon. I saw a doorless cage in which brightness flapped, a ladder with which love climbed to the roof of heaven. I saw a woman eating light in a morsel. At noon, there was bread on their table, herbs, a plate of food, a hot bowl of bread. I saw a beggar who went door to door asking for the song of a line, and a street sweeper saying prayer to the skin of a melon. I saw a lamb eating a kite. I am from Kashan, but Kashan is not my town. My town is missing. With patience, fever, I have built a house on the other side of the night. In this house, I am close to the damp anonymity of the grass. I'm close to the beginning of the earth. I take the flower's pulse. I'm familiar with the fate of water, with the green habit of the trees. Just like the wing of an insect, I know the way of dawn. Just like a flower pot, I listen to the music of growth. Like a basket full of fruits, I have a hot fever for ripening. Like a tavern, I'm on the verge of weariness. Like a building by the sea, I'm worried about the eternal high tides. Life is a delightful ride. Life has wings and feathers as vast as this. It has a leap as big as love. Life is not something you and I forget on the ledge of habit. Life is the allure of the hand that picks. Life is the first taste of black fig in the acrid mouth of summer. Life is the dimension of trees in the eyes of an insect. Life is the experience of a moth in darkness. Life is the strange feeling of a migrating bird. Life is the whistle of a train swirling in the dream of a bridge. Life is seeing a garden from the blocked windows of an airplane. The neons of a shuttle going into space, touching the loneliness of the moon, the thought of smelling a flower in another planet. Life is washing a plate. Life is finding a coin in the gutter. Life is the square root of the mirror. Life is flower, the power of eternity. Life is the earth multiplied by our hearts. Life, the simple and equal geometry of breath. Wherever I am, sky is mine. Window, house, air, love, earth are mine. Who cares if sometimes the mushrooms of loneliness grow? Let's bring a basket. Take all these reds, all these green. Let's eat bread and mallow for breakfast. And let's plant a sapling on every winding of the street. And pour the seed of silence between two syllables. And let's not read a book in which no wind blows, and a book in which the skin of the dew is not red, and a book in which the cells are dimensionless. And let's not want to fly down off the nature's feet, and let's not want a tiger go out the creation door. And let's know if there was no worm, life would lack. And if there was no joy, the law of the tree would be hurt. And if there was no death, our hands would look the same. Death is not an end to death. Death is not the reverse of suffering. Death flows in the acacia's light. Death has a seat in the nice weather of pot. Death in the nature of the village's night, us about the morning. Death comes to the mouth with a great cluster. Death sings in the larynx of a red-throated loon. Death is the reason for the moth's beautiful wings. Death makes basil sometimes. Death drinks vodka sometimes. Sometimes it sits in the shadows, watching us. And we all know the lungs of pleasure are full of death's oxygen. Finding the secrets of the rose is not our job. Maybe our job is to float in the charm of the rose. Maybe our job is to run after the truth between the lotus and the century.
So I became fast friends with Grace second week of our first semester. One, they had a cat named Sarah, and two, we were both from Ohio. And it's a truth universally acknowledged that when any number of Ohioans meet each other outside of their home state for the first time, it will bond them for life. Now, if you're only slightly familiar with Grace, you might know them for their neat sticker, their exciting red bubble side hustle, and or their ability to help yawn, text, speak, and emoji jargon The quality of Grace which Jan already mourns the loss. But if you have the privilege of knowing Grace on the level, you'll come to find her very intelligent. They try their best to deny it, humorous and compassionate. They're always willing to be a friend and put a smile on your face. They don't hesitate to help you out when you need someone the most. And I can attest to this because they took me to the hospital one time. We didn't even know each other that well yet. When it comes to the art of translation, Grace's passion for the subject, along with their passion for language and culture, is boundless found in their academics, their impressive dedication to on and offline international media, and their desire to share their excitement and interests to anyone who may or may not yet. I can still remember a first semester presentation that Grace did where they were eager to lay out a hypothetical plan to educate young children on translation and prepare classrooms to get excited about the impact language and literature can have on young ages. I really hope to see that plan come to fruition someday. Grace, very grateful to have you as a friend, and I'm so excited to see where you go from here. In 10 years' time, I can't wait to walk into prayer lights, entire shelf devoted to Japanese and Chinese literature, all translated by you. The pride I have for you and your craft has not wavered since I met you 2 years ago in August, but it is especially strong today. OH, Thank you, everyone. So without further ado, please join me in enthusiastically welcoming Grace Schultz to the front, where they will read an excerpt from the translation of An Angel Comes Home, novel originally written in Chinese by the late.
Okay, here we go. So actually, this is the first chapter, but there's a chapter 0 and a prologue, and then I also had to cut out a lot of paragraphs in the chapter. So I did my best. Hong Kong left a good impression on me. There were mountains and there were rivers, and they were both before my very eyes. There were a lot of delicious restaurants where you could eat all sorts of food. Aside from restaurants, I also liked going to the pier to try the Star Ferry. From the ferry, Hong Kong and Kowloon felt far apart. Sometimes when there were big waves, I'd see the buildings on the opposite shore, slanting this way and that. Anxious, I pulled tight Mom's arm and yelled, "They're falling! The buildings are going to fall over!" Covering my face with my hands and burning my picture. "Silly egg, that's the ferry's rocking. How would the buildings fall?" she laughed. I liked crossing the sea at night. The air would cool, the dusting of stars in the night sky forming a hill of water, lights on the polar side of the sky. And we'd go forth into the clear place. I loved snuggling against her as we sat on the ferry's bench, resting my head against her soft breast. I'd squint my eyes, imagine the sparkling fragments of light falling from our lives, and my mother's. In these moments, she was all mine. It was the first time Mom met everyone on Dad's side. When Grandma's asthma acted up, peaceful sleep was all but impossible. And all she could do was pass the night in a half-sitting, half-reclining position. The doctor just sent her home to recuperate when we arrived, making her even happier to see us. "Really?" I shouted. She took me in her arms and said, "Ayo, my little girl, you're so much prettier than the pictures." I didn't understand a single word as she spoke in a true Jiangxi dialect. "How old are you? You staying healthy? Started school yet?" Mom translated for me. Her hands were soft and boneless, perfectly delicate as they caressed my cheeks. I liked her instantly. She was old, her face one giant wrinkle. Two flimsy slivers of skin hung from her jaw like blades, swinging to and fro when she talked. I wanted to reach out and touch them, but didn't dare. Instead, I stared at them, mesmerized. "Three, don't hang on, Granny. Come on, you met Auntie." Mom led me away. Why doesn't she look a thing like Soar? Or her siblings, for that matter, Grandma asked. Everyone says she looks a lot like me. The two older ones look more like Soar, especially in the bone structure. His brother-in-law at work? Yeah, Grandma cut in. This is so busy. He doesn't come home until around 6 or 7 every night. And even relax after he's eaten, taking calls nonstop. Keep working like that, and one of these days he'll wear himself out. He eyed Auntie as if she were to blame. Of course, the brother-in-law had a factory, but he wasn't too clear what sort of factory, Mom said with a smile. You know, Soren has bad temper, Mother. He doesn't pay any mind to things that aren't his precious biology. He even needs me to remind him about his kids' birthdays each year. I swore he really is a bookworm. He doesn't compare to his brother-in-law, who though had nothing when he came to Hong Kong 10 years ago, and now he's got several factories, clothes, appliances, and others I'm not sure about. Some of his Shanghai friends call him a lucky bastard. What's that, lucky bastard? I asked Mom. You don't want to listen to Mother's excessive praise for the auntie cut him off. His only good points are his sharp eyes and dry. That's why things have gone so smoothly these 2 or 3 years. Mother, you remember how hard things were when we first got here. You want to rest for a bit? Our apartment is small and we don't have a guest room, so you'll have to share a room with Mother. Is that okay if Bree sleeps with you? It'll be bigger next time you come, Grandma said. Your brother-in-law's at Hoolan Cam's picking out an apartment, 4-bedroom, but honestly, it's more full. Gosh, Mother, things haven't even started taking shape and you're already telling everyone about it? Yufeng's fine, but she's one of us. But if others heard it, he struck it rich. Auntie said and grabbed my hand, pulling me into. Uncle didn't return until it was almost dark. The first thing I noticed were those eyes, big and round, shining through the lenses of his glasses like 2 searchlights. His bright and piercing gaze was so sharp it could have drilled a hole right through my face. I quickly shrank behind my mother. We walked over and flashed him out full white teeth. It was probably due to his dark skin that his teeth seemed whiter. Fake. He shook Mom's hand, then took my face in his own. It's 3, I have. Hello. That's an each score. How old are you? Stroked my cheek while I tried to shake him off, hiding my face in my mother's light gray shirt. Uncle chuckled and stood, accepting the hot towel from the servant. He removed his glasses, wiped his face, and motioned for Mom to take a seat. He gave me a gentle nudge as I was still clinging to her leg. What's wrong with this kid? She's never been scared of strangers. Now she's acting all shy. I asked you to sit and you still haven't. Listen when grown-ups tell you things. She's fine. I'll take you across the river for some seafood. Come on, Bree. Uncle's going to take you to fish. I turned when he went to take my hand. Mom quietly scolded me and nudged me forward. Don't be like this. He's your uncle, not some beast. Like us, Auntie had 2 girls and a boy, but they were older and liked to jibber jabber and can't I didn't understand. They weren't too interested in me, and I wasn't interested in them. All I knew was that the girls were called Big and Little Cat, Little Boy, Little Dog. I didn't understand why, since they were clearly human, but I quickly began to refer to them as dog and cats. Mom said Auntie's poor health had led to several miscarriages. After 3 successful births, she purposely called them by animal names so her precious children might avoid her death. We stayed with Auntie for about 10 days. I barely interacted with the dog and cats, mostly because they went to school every day, but also because they didn't speak the same language. Out of the 3 of them, I preferred the younger sister, Little Cat. She was pretty with pale skin like Auntie's. Her eyes were like Uncle's, big and round, but not the least bit piercing. Murky black, there were watery pools so deep I couldn't see the bottom. She wasn't dark and strong like her sister, so I wanted to be good friends with her. Uncle seemed to dote on her a lot, always tugging her over to sit next to him at meals. Grandma placed all of her hopes on Little Dog, while Auntie gave her big cat. Grandma, Auntie, and Uncle adored him, especially Uncle. He was always busy, but found the time to play with us. I liked the Mountain Peak Garden the best. We took a cable car to the top of the mountain. It was my first time, and I was both excited and scared. I let out a high-pitched squeal as I looked down. Uncle wrapped me in his arms. Don't be scared, I scared. When we reached the top, he led Mom to the observation deck to see all of home. Then he took us to a cafe for snacks. Uncle ordered me a big glass of strawberry ice cream with fresh snow-capped white cream. I was so happy.
Hi, everybody. When I learned that I would have the great pleasure of introducing our next speaker, I quickly developed a workspace. You guys seen that Charlie Day from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, all the like stuff on the wall. You can actually still see it on my. The other thing that I found out right away is that I had to revise this introduction during the halftime. It definitely stays. I first met Nikki in the hills by the river behind the IMU. My first thought was, oh, thank God, someone else from the tri-state area. As the weeks went on, a succession of revelations, including one that is not from New Jersey, followed in rapid succession, and slightly alarming ones too. Like, oh my God, can someone really be this good at so many languages? That was kind of the form that all the revelations then started to take. Oh my God, can someone really be such a perspicacious reader, such an intelligent critic of translations, an intelligent translator? Can someone really dive into so many different kinds of projects with that incredible intensity and energy and focus? And then as the years went on, I started to see Nikki kind of go beyond all these tasks that had been set out for them and invent new tasks for themselves so that they could feel like personally amaze me at how good they were at so many different things, including things like designing this brilliant booklet, beautiful thing, right? And as I sat with them in North Hall yesterday for a few hours while we actually made these things, I even had the pleasure of seeing what a generous teacher they were, as they showed me how to do all the tasks related that go into the work process to produce this thing. This ability to do so many different things so well is actually a really key thing for translators. People who translate a lot of this because we dive into a book, we learn specialized vocabularies, have to learn so many things to write the words that. And now my leg is shaking and overcome physically, and of course I have no idea where I am on this next part. But that's okay, because I'm mostly just really overjoyed, not just to have known people professionally, but to have all of you. So please join me in welcoming up to the stage.
Last year, I've been working with a bunch of folk songs. And when I say folk songs from Bulgaria, I mean texts that are not folk songs that are not Bulgaria. But instead, different versions of the same tale that appears, song form, story form, and in different languages. The language we know today as Bulgarian, Serbian, Macedonian, Greek, Romanian, and many others. The compilation of these songs started in the 19th century as the revival was happening, and continues to this day. There are over 300 known, and I really struggled with how to translate them. So I worked with them, worked with different commentary about criticism. And finally got to book inconsistencies. So I will be reading 4 poems I wrote out songs, which in their most simplest terms are about a woman who is so radiant that she catches the attention of the sun, and he attempts to let her marry. You have to choose the name. There are many. You can pick one out from ones you've read, or you can choose a name at random somehow, but you have to pick a name. When singing, the woman's name will be repeated. So choose now, choose wisely. Then you choose a tone that will be repeated. You start a fifth up from it and then go down. How you go down is up to you, but you go down. You have to know who she is. I'm sorry, but you do. Do it slowly, one by one. Sing her name, then sing her life, then sing her name again. Are you alone? Sing slow, sing quiet. You will grow. You will get late now. Sing. In most songs, the word used to describe the woman is actually a which means a married young woman, within a girl, something like perhaps. But it's also just hard. We have to admit sometimes we're just close to yourself. And in many songs, she has a lover, so she's not a maid. In a song where the sun takes her not to marry her, she falls in the river and she screams for help. And her mother comes and cries and does not help. And her father comes and cries and does not help. And then her lover comes and swims to her. There are so many things the body can feel, and I do not have the words for us. So I try to remember the things instead. I am through now with language. Give me words for what's around. Here, your hand, the desk, your fingers hot by saying, quiet, but it doesn't make sense. Your hair, linen, round and white, then softness, yes, leaves, paper, water, land. Yes, your skin, then denim, metal. I know this, and I know what follows. Quiet, dark, morning.
I got so excited to introduce her next speaker that I almost cut in line. I can't contain my excitement. This one is a little roasty, but only because the person I'm about to introduce, I have deep admiration and affection for. I have the pleasure of introducing the wonderful Ely Shiri Be Her. Really? Ely is a translator from Dortmund, Germany. He's one of the most German people you've ever met in your entire life. Second only to Ori, who is the most German people you've ever met in your entire life. But really, Ely is up on German, so there are quite a few things I cannot make jokes about tonight. So when I sat down to write this introduction, I reached out to some people who I thought know Ely more personally. One of them responded saying, I don't have any jokes. I have legitimate complaints. Ely is not only an excellent student of translation, she is also an excellent teacher of German. So excellent, in fact, that one of her teacher's evaluations for the question that asks, what would you change about this course to make it better next time? A student said, a different instructor. For the past 2 years, Ely has been translating a German nonfiction book called Radical Tenderness, which basically means that Ely's MFA thesis is a gateway drug for polyamory and pansexuality. If you have ever been in a class with Ely, you're probably used to the sound of the beeping machine that Ely keeps on her person at all times. Basically, she has type 7 diabetes, which is a condition in which your blood sugar drops so low that you immediately need to buy a beer with somebody else's money. So, after the reading, if you see her at the bars tonight, please buy Ely a beer because she has thoroughly earned it and wholeheartedly deserves it. Because truly, Ely is a wonderful human being. She makes any classroom she's in livelier and will always offer to bring you coffee or grab something for you from the vending machine on class breaks. Ely, it's been a joy to be in this program with you, and having known you for 2 years, I can absolutely vouch for the fact that your one cruel and ignorant student had no idea what you were talking about. Thank you so much, Rowan. Two things before I start reading. This whole congrats class of 2024. We made it. And I would like to get Fabian Rink here, my German friend. He's gonna help me through this. This is for my thesis. The alternative alphabet of tenderness.
A as in anerkennen.
Appreciation. I see and hear you in the entirety of your presence as you want to reveal to me. I appreciate you including your insecurities, your needs, and contradictions.
Wie es in Berührung.
Touch. Touch is not constituent for a relationship, but I do enjoy every touch of yours, and I do not impose my touch on you. Your touch is warm and caring.
Sie es in Honig.
Cool. I want to write a shared story with you that is free of categories and pressure of linearity. I'm open to your perspectives on our story.
Sie es in Dankbarkeit.
Gratefulness. I'm grateful for your support, your thoughts, and your sincere listening. I know that none of these are taken for granted.
Sie es in Entschuldigung.
Apology. I sincerely ask for apologies. I acknowledge my mistake. I will do everything in my power to help repeat that mistake. And I know that I cannot excuse nor exonerate.
F es in Faulheit.
Idleness. Your value is not measured by your professional success. Together we create spaces in which we reduce the pressure of performance in society. We create spaces of lingering.
Sie es in Glaube.
Belief. I believe you. Period.
H es in Harmonie.
Harmony. I do not insist on harmony. I do not overlook your anger and disappointment simply because I'm afraid of conflict. However, I am ready to work with you towards a shared space that makes us both seen.
I es in Ich.
I. You and I also exist outside of the we.
J es in Ja.
Yes. I understand your yes to our relationship and physicality not as an absolute condition. I offer possibilities and opportunities of exchange to treat your yes. I try to treat your yes as gently as I would give you.
K es in Körper.
Body. Your body is unconditionally beautiful, but it's not just there to satisfy my aesthetic needs. I acknowledge that your body can also suffer and hurt. I see that other people attack your body. I'm ready to defend and protect your body.
L es in Lernen.
Learning. It is enriching to learn from you, to partake in your knowledge and experiences. I know it's not always easy to refresh and share your knowledge and memories. I thank you for that.
M es in Möglichkeit.
Possibilities. I do not close my mind to the possibilities of what you could become, I could become, we could become, and will become.
N es in Nein.
No. No means no. I don't feel like it today means no. Maybe later it means no. Not yet means no. That's too quick for me means no. That hurts me means no.
O es in Organisation.
Organization. I'm willing to organize our shared life. I know that our shared life requires commitment and work. I will not excuse you of that work. I will search with you for paths that make the organization of our life easier.
I es in Pflege.
Here, before I talk about care with you, I will read the next chapter.
U es in Quatsch.
Nonsense. Talking nonsense, doing nonsense, watching nonsense, reading nonsense, writing nonsense.
R es in Riss.
Rift. I acknowledge that there are biographical rifts in our lives. And I'm happy that you help me. I'll help you patch up these rifts when we feel like ripping apart irretrievably. Sometimes when you translate, you use words that you actually don't know how to pronounce.
Solidarität.
Solidarity. I'm solidary with you and protect you, even though it challenges me. I'm thankful for your support and solidarity, even though it means we are of different opinions sometimes.
T es in Trauma.
Trauma. I do not question your trauma. I respect when you do not want to talk about it. And I know that you are more than your trauma.
U es in Unruhe.
Uproar. Even faces of insecurities and uproars.
I es in Verletzlichkeit.
Vulnerability. I see that you are vulnerable. I will never use your vulnerability against you.
W es in Weggefährte.
Companion, I am happy that you are accompanying me on this path.
X as in Quebun, Quebparasti.
That means being yourself, self-defense in Comanche, as I learned from my friend David.
Y.
I indulge you when you cannot come up with the term for the letter Y.
Z as in Savage.
Tenderness. I know that our relationship cannot undo the things in the world. However, I work with you and other people towards a more tender world for all people. Thank you.
Pleasure to conclude this reading by introducing Jake. Jake Goldwasser is a possessor of surprising items and talents. He's a gerbil father, a master of the circus arts, and a player of strange harmoniums. Jake is probably the best positioned among all of us to create what Wagner called the Gesamtkunstwerk, a grand and totalizing piece of art, one that manages to combine all. Actually, he's working on it right now. He even showed us. His magnum opus in progress is a lyric play acted out by a cast of clowns, wielding puppets of down on their luck poets. These puppets fumble to operate a slide projector, displaying somber cartoons. The whole cast argues to find appropriate captions. To add general momentum and gravitas, the procession is punctuated by a series of acrobatic tricks performed by Jake's band of trained rodents. Children's book reviews conclude the play and dive into deep personal narratives. Of course, this all takes place in a hybrid language of English, Yiddish, Ladino, Dutch, Norwegian, Swedish, and German. It's visionary, the world is not ready for it. But in all seriousness, Jake is a brilliant poet, translator, and reader. He has an incredible range of knowledge, but his work also has an unparalleled precision. He's proof that sometimes it takes a life lived across lexicons to find just the right phrase, a pristine image to explain loss, longing, awe. He's like the Pierrot clown, someone who exists as a nimble, silent observer in the wavering spaces between words, watching, waiting when we least expect it, to speak a clear statement that tells us what is hurting us and what might help us survive. Jake, it's been an honor being in 2 other spaces with you. Sad reading Iowa City, but I really look forward to following it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. And thank you so much to all of you. It's been really, really cool. I'm going to read my thesis, which was a translation of a book by a Dutch poet named Eva Gerlof called Situations. And I'm going to read a section called Hellebos. Hellebos is an unremarkable place in Belgium where she had a writing residency. I found this one. Everything bites you. Lime, etc. Hard-toothed, see the crests, scant helmet plumes, gnawed down in their permanent this. One stamping foot, and they lay down, blind. A bounty the ground can't contain. Fruit wasps beside themselves at the clearance sale. Foam and senseless riffraff, drowsy from outgoing white. Shake the tree of flesh, piles, shingles, nodules, the heads, quick, hang them in the smoke. Come soul, come great and skittish animal, full of eyelashes for beating, hooves for apsides, so unsteadily, cardinal direction. Here, listen, in the orchard, the black one gallops around and around and around, observed by note. 2. He emptied out the barns. October asked for it. Whatever could go, cleared. She waited there, large with her broad arms. Deliver, deliver, her lyre a shot full of leaf. A heave against the gravel, a back and forth crunch. What goes before, hot high, pitched low, pleasure. What follows, items, deeds, sun umbrellas, styrofoam booth. The fire burns out, skinny flame antler, sways on moles, powder thin, half shaft, a glow underneath. Stay off it, he says. Beauty is what fits in such a way to cut a space that wasn't there, to fill up with its measuredness exactly. 3. One clears his throat on the edge of the park 2 or 3 times. An engine, you could say, on the verge of starting but not. We're sitting further up. Silence like before, no, deflated, popped chewing gum skin, and our life in which countertop, language, earth nor worm, to say nothing of the rest, the barred window, the lost rasp, nothing is retained, and knowing that, here, where semblance of form, manner, everything will lacquer through a gloss? Will someone not yet here soon reveal himself with blood-curdling ease? The fur, the wet mouth, the whole animal? No. First forgotten, later missed. 4. Can I stop searching? Sunken road up and down, cornfield, field level. Come, body, I say, here. Take my breath in your holes. Seek. Follow me against diversion as fire to sky. Wait. If I say hi, will you jump? Will you catch me? Such a fuss over nothing. Hard muzzle, will you chew? From now on, stay. However briefly, we close in on each other. Take what you want. There is no difference between our jaws. For our bones, a single flower is enough. Gone with body into the panorama. They climbed straight up from the forest, out of death, sat a while, fetched, treetops. 5. Someone is singing in the house, behind doors 5, walls 10 centimeters thick, blowing, honking. Someone is scrubbing themselves bald, letting wind out everywhere. In pipes and against tiles, panels, and thing contrary to floor, what do you call? An echo comes, whistling underway. A reverb audible right into fireplaces and logs, rustling via flue draft over beaches, puffballs, sawdust, a file bug, snuffer beetle, breastwards over the cabbage and bouncing against eardrum in the village. Outside of this song, there will shortly be nothing. Drumming air on the skin around death, in the fruit bursting out of its peel, just like that. Hours like that. Days. 6. Let it not have existed. That the day came up and wax model melted, the fatal injury crawled out of the flames. Make it go away. Let there be no remainder. Let it not have been. In the hooks and eyes it was tied with, restrained, dragged. Let that burst open for the alphabets lining up around it. Let no one read how it all got squeezed together, pain-linked, syrupy, a tearful slime. I saw the condition, a beard of spittle, a shot full of youngest day, sun who, directionless, stuck his fire tongue inside, and there was light. And this is the last one I'll read. 7. Ear harvested from an empty field, kernel here, smooth on your tongue, hard on tooth edges, sweet and spit. Thumb computed, everything you mill contains you. Walking between stalks, becoming grain, arms stiff around you to be thinner, faster away where spirit put you out to pasture, doubled over, boiled, rose out above you till you had no side left. How hair from that tassel aloft in the wind, marked your throat, ripened an artery. Eternity, sight turned on to be mown later. Gray river ready to flow onto the canvas, squatting as long as you. Roller on the path, now razor blade, moment, point.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed all of these readings. This was a great session. I'm starting to feel emotional right now. I just wanted to tell my classmates that it has been an honor to be a part of your group and to learn from you. And at the end of this session, I would also like to thank and acknowledge our amazing faculty for everything they taught us, for everything that you gave us, for the support. Our own Jan, Adrian, Diana, Tommy, and Natasha, thank you so much for this. And thank you all for sharing these beautiful hours with us. That would be it. We are gonna go to Georgia's, a very famous bar. There's a patio at the back of the building. We're gonna be there, although speaking from experience, it's gonna take a while for us to clear out. So if anytime during this evening you wanted to join us at Georgia's and just enjoy the rest of this beautiful conversation that we had today. Thank you so much and have a good day.